The night is heavy with anticipation as two police officers, Lao Tang and Li Zhang, keep their eyes locked on a building across the street. They've been surveilling for hours, waiting for the notorious drug lord Zhang Hu to make his move. His name is enough to send chills through anyone in the criminal underworld, and tonight they hope to catch him in the act. As time passes, frustration builds. Lao Tang, unable to remain still any longer, steps away to buy cigarettes at a nearby shop. Alone, Li Zhang stays vigilant, scanning the shadows for any sign of their target. His eyes widen as a car slowly approaches. Zhang Hu has arrived. The officers were trained to wait for backup, but impatience and adrenaline take over. They decide to move in, relying on their instincts. As they advance, the atmosphere thickens with danger. What follows is chaos. Zhang Hu is no ordinary criminal. His response is swift and merciless. In the blink of an eye, Li Zhang is struck down, his body falling to the ground with a finality that leaves Lao Tang paralyzed with grief. Zhang Hu slips away into the night, his escape effortless. The backup arrives too late, and the sound of sirens only amplifies the hollow silence that follows. 3 years have passed since Zhang Hu disappeared without a trace, leaving no clue behind. His absence hasn't crippled his empire, though. The drug trade continues to thrive under the control of Fei Kong, a loyal lieutenant who once stood by Zhang Hu like a brother. But now Fei Kong has expanded the operation, running an underground casino in the shadows alongside the drug deals. On a quiet street the next day, a drug addict takes a hit, his shaky hands unaware of the police waiting nearby. In an instant, he's seized and hauled off to the station. The officers are certain he's connected to Zhang Hu's elusive network, and they won't stop until they find the thread that leads them to the heart of the operation. Meanwhile, Lao Tang, now promoted to captain, lives with the heavy toll of the past. The head injuries inflicted by Zhang Hu continue to haunt him, painkillers his only reprieve. Despite the constant ache in his head, Lao Tang remains fixated on one goal: bringing Zhang Hu and his criminal empire to justice. The weight of his failure 3 years ago still haunts him, as does the death of Li Zhang. Determined to make things right, Lao Tang pleads with his superiors to reopen the investigation. The pursuit of vengeance is no longer just professional, it's personal. The focus then shifts to Li Jun, a quiet taxi driver whose life revolves around caring for his wife. For 3 years, she's been trapped in a coma, the result of a tragic accident. Every day, Li Jun faithfully tends to her, his love unwavering. He washes her, watches over her, and clings to the hope that one day she might wake up. One day, while attending to his wife, Li Jun sees a young boy playing nearby. The sight stops him in his tracks, his heart heavy with grief. His wife had been pregnant with their child at the time of the accident. If things had turned out differently, their son would be about the same age as the boy before him. Shaken, Li Jun makes a decision. He will do whatever it takes to find a cure for his wife. But the medication that could save her is beyond his reach. Its cost astronomical. Desperation sets in. Li Jun resolves to work around the clock, taking exhausting 24-hour shifts, every hour spent chasing the money that could bring her back. One desperate night, Li Jun steps into Zhang Hu's casino. The air is thick with smoke and the sound of clinking chips. He knows the odds are stacked against him, but his financial struggles and his wife's dire condition leave him with little choice. He's gambling not just for money, but for a chance to save her. Later, Li Jun's heart races as he wins a round of mahjong, his first victory. For a fleeting moment, he considers quitting, walking away with his winnings. But then, Tao Ma, one of the other players, sneers and insults his wife, dragging her into the taunt. Enraged, Li Jun loses control, lashing out violently at Tao Ma. The casino erupts in chaos. Within moments, Li Jun is dragged away and taken to the back office where Fei Kong, the casino boss, awaits. Fei Kong's eyes are cold, calculating. He demands immediate compensation for Tao Ma's injuries, which are severe. Tao Ma, a trusted ally of Fei Kong, cannot be left unpaid. At that moment, Li Jun, empty-handed and desperate, is offered an ultimatum. Fei Kong's voice is chilling. If Li Jun wants to walk away from this without further bloodshed, he must become a drug courier, risking his life to pay off the debt. In exchange, Tao Ma's medical expenses and the threat against him will be forgotten. As Li Jun walks out, Fei Kong remains behind, his anger simmering. He turns sharply toward Tao Ma, who stands in the corner, bruised and sullen. Fei Kong's voice cuts through the air, furious. Not only has Tao Ma stirred up trouble in the casino, but he's also been dealing drugs to the community, a direct violation of Fei Kong's orders. The risks are too high. The police could catch wind of this, and the consequences would be catastrophic. Fei Kong's scolding is harsh, his fury barely contained. The tension in the room is palpable, and Tao Ma lowers his head in silence, knowing he's crossed a dangerous line. Meanwhile, Li Jun returns home and collapses onto his sofa, his mind consumed by thoughts of his wife. In the quiet of the night, he dreams of her, the life they were supposed to have before the accident. For 3 years, his every waking moment has been spent focused solely on her recovery. It's a life he's lost, but one he's unable to let go of. The next day, Li Jun visits his parents' home, hoping to ask for a loan. The air inside is thick with unspoken tension as he sits at the dinner table, gathering the courage to speak. But instead of the help he hoped for, his father's words are cold and cutting. The disappointment in his father's eyes is unmistakable. He chastises Li Jun, reminding him of the burden he's been to the family. The shame of his past, the prison time, all of it weighing on him. Shortly after, Li Jun's phone rings. The voice on the other end is cold, but the words hit him like a punch. His wife's condition has taken a turn for the worse. Another surgery is needed, but the hospital demands a deposit before they'll proceed. Panic claws at him, the money he doesn't have. Without wasting a second, Li Jun heads straight to Fei Kong. His mind races with desperation. He agrees to do whatever Fei Kong needs, deliver the drugs, anything to get the money. Before he leaves, he dares to ask for a loan for the surgery. To his surprise, Fei Kong agrees, but his tone is sharp, threatening. He makes it clear, if Li Jun tries to play him, if he's found deceiving him, his wife and family will suffer the consequences. The warning hangs heavy in the air, a promise of ruthless retribution. After the surgery, Li Jun sets out on his mission. Fei Kong's instructions are simple. Take the package to a remote building deep in the desert, leave it there, and return. As Li Jun drives through the vast emptiness, the weight of the desert mirrors the emptiness inside him. His thoughts drift back to before the accident, to the day his wife told him she was pregnant. It feels like another lifetime, a dream now shattered, the child they lost, the future that never came. All that remains are memories, fading, haunting, and unreachable. That night, Li Jun's life is upended. 3 police officers burst into his home, the weight of their presence undeniable. Lao Tang and his team have been surveilling him for weeks, tracking his every move, even planting a device on his car. The evidence is undeniable, but instead of arresting him, Lao Tang offers an unexpected proposition. Li Jun is given a choice: cooperate as an informant, help the police locate Zhang Hu, the man who's been elusive for years, and in return, he will be set free and given 1.5 million. Desperation drives Li Jun to accept. The promise of money to save his wife is too tempting to refuse. His decision is made. The following evening, as Li Jun tends to his wife, the phone rings once. Fei Chong's voice invites him to dinner. Unbeknownst to Li Jun, the police continue their silent watch, tracking his every movement. From a distance, Lao Tang's focus remains fixed on the scene unfolding before him, but a sudden sharp pain grips his head. He falters, his vision blurring. Realizing the severity of his condition, he decides to leave his post and head to the hospital. There, the doctor insists he be admitted for intensive care, but Lao Tang is resolute. His mission isn't finished. Zhang Hu is still out there. Back at the scene, Li Jun watches as Fei Kong disappears into the night. His heart races as he hurries to report back to Lao Tang. But just as he thinks he's in the clear, Fei Kong's car screeches to a halt, and the gangster returns, suspicion clouding his features. Li Jun's pulse quickens, but before things can spiral, Lao Tang has a nurse step in, pretending to be Li Jun's mistress. The ruse buys him a brief window of safety. The next day, Li Jun finds himself caught in the middle of a tense transaction between Fei Kong's group and Guo Yu, a notorious mafia boss. Guo Yu, eager to enter the drug trade, is an old acquaintance of Tao Ma. At that moment, he talks boldly about borrowing Fei Kong's factory, but Fei Kong shuts him down instantly. No one uses the factory without Zhang Hu's approval. The tension in the room tightens, the weight of Zhang Hu's unseen presence hanging in the air. While the deal unfolds, Li Jun takes the opportunity to ask one of Fei Kong's men about Zhang Hu's whereabouts. The answer is the same as always. Zhang Hu remains a ghost, hiding out of sight. It's said that he will reveal himself only when the deal with Guo Yu is complete, but for now he remains a mystery, lurking far away. On the other hand, Fei Kong's voice cuts through the air, sharp and authoritative as he speaks to Zhang Hu over the phone. The deal with Guo Yu is set, but Zhang Hu makes one thing clear. His factory is off limits. No one gets access without his approval. As Fei Kong drives home, something shifts in his mood. Without warning, he orders Li Jun to stop the car. The engine sputters to a halt on the desolate road. Fei Kong steps out, his anger building. In a flash, he grabs Tao Ma by the collar and starts beating him, fists landing with brutal force. His voice is cold as ice as he threatens Tao Ma. If the information about the factory leaks again, he'll destroy everything Tao Ma holds dear. A leak would bring the police, and that's something Fei Kong won't allow. Once the threat is made, Fei Kong leaves Tao Ma crumpled in the unforgiving desert. But Li Jun, his conscience gnawing at him, can't just leave him there. After dropping Fei Kong off, he turns back, his heart heavy with pity. Despite their past fights, despite the animosity between them, Li Jun still sees Tao Ma as a friend. After a while, Li Jun and Tao Ma finally arrive at Tao Ma's modest home. As a token of gratitude, Tao Ma invites Li Jun to stay for dinner. But the moment is tainted when his wife refuses to cook. She's heading out to work as a hostess at a karaoke bar, doing what she can to earn extra money. The tension rises quickly, and an argument erupts between them. Li Jun watches in silence as the harsh words fly, the weight of their struggle hanging in the air. After his wife storms out, Tao Ma's gaze drifts to his daughter, quietly studying in the corner. The sight hits him like a punch to the gut. A wave of guilt washes over him. He's failed as a father, unable to provide the life his daughter deserves. Before they can leave, Fei Kong calls. Tao Ma, swallowing his pride, asks Li Jun for a loan to buy dinner for his daughter. The desperation in his eyes is enough to sway Li Jun. Without hesitation, he hands over the money, his sympathy outweighing any hesitation. No strings attached. The next night, Li Jun and Tao Ma find themselves at a flashy nightclub, surrounded by the noise of celebration. Fei Kong and a group of women greet them, the energy high, the drinks flowing. Amid the chaos, Tao Ma, in a rare moment of reflection, apologizes for his past actions. Li Jun listens, the apology heavy but fleeting, as the night stretches on in a haze of music and laughter. In the shadows, Li Jun takes a moment to slip away, passing crucial information to Lao Tang. The next day, Li Jun meets with Lao Tang, handing over every piece of information he's gathered. Fei Kong is planning a major transaction with Guo Yu. If it goes through, Zhang Hu will return. Lao Tang absorbs the details quickly, his mind already working through the implications. Without hesitation, he picks up the phone, convincing his superior to prepare a team. This could be the break they've been waiting for, to finally capture Zhang Hu. Elsewhere, Fei Kong visits a small, inconspicuous grocery store hidden in a remote area. It's been Zhang Hu's hideout for years. After reporting on the status of his business to his boss, Fei Kong takes a deep breath. He tells Zhang Hu that he plans to retire after the deal with Guo Yu is done. He's done with this life. He wants to focus on his family, leave the criminal world behind. Zhang Hu's expression shifts. For a moment, there's a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Fei Kong is his most trusted man, like a brother, but Fei Kong's decision is final. Zhang Hu knows there's nothing he can do to change it. All he can do is nod, his voice quiet as he wishes for a smooth transaction. Meanwhile, Li Jun is torn. He's caught in the middle. Loyalty to the police or allegiance to Fei Kong, the police have promised nothing, while Fei Kong has handed him money time and time again. The weight of his decision presses down on him. Frustration bubbles over. Li Jun storms into Lao Tang's office, demanding the money he was promised. The air between them is thick with tension as they argue, voices rising. In the end, Lao Tang relents, agreeing to pay, but the relief is short-lived. As Lao Tang stands to leave, his headache returns with a vengeance. Li Jun watches in alarm as his superior staggers, clutching his head. Panic floods through him. Without thinking, he dials for an ambulance, praying that they get there in time. Meanwhile, across town, Fei Kong gathers his most trusted men, including Li Jun, in a secluded hotel. The mood is heavy, the room filled with unspoken tension. Fei Kong's voice cuts through the air as he orders them to hand over their phones. No one leaves until the deal with Guo Yu is done. He won't risk betrayal, not now, not when everything is on the line. The day of the transaction arrives, tension thick in the air. Fei Kong and his men make their way to the meeting spot, unaware that the police are quietly observing from a distance. The moment they arrive, Guo Yu is already waiting in his private bus, his eyes sharp as he inspects the drugs Fei Kong has brought. But in an instant, the atmosphere shifts. Guo Yu's men draw their weapons, and the meeting turns into a deadly trap. Chaos erupts as gunfire fills the air. Tao Ma, having secretly allied with Guo Yu, makes his move, his betrayal cutting deep. In the midst of the fight, Guo Yu swiftly kills Fei Kong, ending his life with cold efficiency. Afterward, the bus is set on fire, engulfing the bodies of Fei Kong and his men in flames, erasing all traces of their existence. Li Jun, severely wounded but still alive, manages to escape. With little time to think, he contacts Zhang Hu, delivering the news of Tao Ma's treachery and Fei Kong's death. The revelation shakes Zhang Hu to his core. Grief and rage mix as Zhang Hu vows to take action. With Li Jun by his side, he swears to avenge Fei Kong's death and destroy Guo Yu without hesitation. Zhang Hu orders Li Jun to take him to Tao Ma's house, but Li Jun also tries to reach Lao Tang, warning him that Zhang Hu is no longer in hiding. Unfortunately, Lao Tang remains unconscious in the hospital, unaware of the storm brewing. Meanwhile, Tao Ma has fully aligned himself with Guo Yu. Zhang Hu's factory now belongs to Guo Yu, the last piece of his empire slipping away. Soon, Tao Ma receives a phone call, a voice he knows all too well. It's Zhang Hu, and the sound of his wife and child's screams fills the air. Panic grips Tao Ma as he listens, begging for mercy, pleading for Zhang Hu's forgiveness. In a last-ditch effort, Tao Ma reveals Guo Yu's location, hoping it will buy him a sliver of redemption. But when they arrive, Zhang Hu shows no mercy. Without a second thought, he kills Tao Ma in cold blood. Turning to Li Jun, Zhang Hu issues his next order: wait in the car. Zhang Hu steps inside, his fury unleashed as he slaughters Guo Yu and his men without hesitation, leaving nothing but death in his wake. As the tension builds, Li Jun knows what's coming. With a sense of urgency, he contacts Lao Tang again, his voice sharp. The battle at the factory is about to begin. Zhang Hu, armed only with an axe, faces off against Mr. Go and his heavily armed men. Without hesitation, the fight erupts. In mere seconds, Zhang Hu takes down every one of Guo Yu's men with brutal efficiency. Guo Yu, wide-eyed and panicked, drops to his knees, pleading for his life. He promises to compensate for his losses, but Zhang Hu remains unmoved. Nothing can bring back Fei Kong, the brother he lost. With a swift motion, Zhang Hu ends Guo Yu's life, silencing his pleas forever. Meanwhile, Lao Tang, just regaining consciousness, realizes he's too late to intervene. Li Jun, alone now, has no choice but to take action. As Zhang Hu approaches, Li Jun strikes first, launching himself at him. They fight fiercely, both men fueled by a mix of desperation and rage. In the chaos of the chase, Li Jun leads Zhang Hu toward the city center, hoping to buy time until the police arrive. But the pursuit quickly turns deadly. In the midst of the chaos, their car crashes, both men suffering severe injuries in the wreckage. As Li Jun lies dazed, Zhang Hu, bloodied and struggling, has a flash of memory 3 years ago during a quiet holiday. He recalls seeing Li Jun and his wife at a hotel, a memory from a time before everything spiraled into violence. At that time, Zhang Hu was in the middle of a drug deal when it all came crashing down. Lao Tang and Li Zhang had discovered him, and in a fit of uncontrollable rage, Zhang Hu killed Li Zhang and left Lao Tang severely injured. As Zhang Hu fled the scene, he didn't notice the woman crossing the street. Li Jun's wife had just exited a convenience store, unaware that her life was about to be shattered. In a split second, she was struck by a car. Unexpectedly, the driver was Zhang Hu, no stranger to Li Jun's world, but the one who had unknowingly destroyed it. It was Zhang Hu's reckless actions that led to the tragic miscarriage of their unborn child. Hearing Zhang Hu's confession, Li Jun's fury ignited. Despite the pain coursing through his body, He forced himself to stand. The weight of loss and rage fueled him. He wouldn't let the man who had destroyed his life slip away. With a raw, desperate strength, Li Jun attacked Zhang Hu, choking him with every ounce of force he had left. Just as the battle reached its peak, Lao Tang arrived. Without hesitation, Lao Tang fired, the shot ringing out and silencing Zhang Hu forever. When the police arrived moments later, they found Li Jun gone. What they didn't know was that Li Jun had driven to the hospital in his battered car, blood soaking through his clothes, his body hanging on by sheer will. He staggered to his wife's room, using the last of his energy. There, he took her hand, a moment of peace settling over him. It was over. But just as she began to stir, to regain consciousness, Li Jun exhaled his final breath. And with that, the film ends. So the moral of the story is, never gamble with your life, especially when dealing with gangsters and a terrible memory for accidents. If you do, at least make sure you are not holding on to a grudge and running errands for a criminal empire while trying to save your wife.